Hello, everyone. Welcome to the debate stream for the trans rights debate. I hope you all enjoy. Today, we're going to have a debate with two of our premier debaters, one of which is 𝗲𝗶𝗀𝗰𝗀 extraordinaire, the other being, of course, 𝗱𝗶𝗀𝗰𝗀 will be arguing in favor of trans rights, and 𝗱𝗶𝗀𝗰𝗀 will be arguing against trans rights. I know this debate is going to be great, and I hope we have a very productive and insightful discussion. Sorry for the delay, everyone. We're just getting set up. Please stand by. If you want to send something in chat, or possibly we might get to it. As you can see, we have a lot of interactive things on the standby page. One of which is obviously our Discord invite link. We have the subscribers on the bottom. You can see your name if you subscribe to our channel. If you subscribe to our channel, you'll be getting a variety of different types of political content. Obviously, you'll be getting the normal type of debates, though we do some other stuff. We also do some D&D, as well as a podcast that we do with some famous TikTokers, famous streamers, etc., where we talk about some big issues facing the country and the rest of the world. I hope you enjoy this debate today, and I hope to not keep you waiting for too long, so just stand by for a couple of minutes, and we should have the debate ready.
Would you like to go first?
Okay, everyone. Welcome to
Your choice.
welcome to one of the official Progressive Powerhouse debates hosted on the lovely server of the Political Kickback. Today we will be having a very intriguing discussion on the topic of trans validity. We will be arguing a very, very contentious topic, and I hope we have a very productive and intriguing discussion between these two
Would you like to go first?
Okay, everyone, our two contestants. Welcome to
Your choice.
introduce yourself. Welcome to one of the official
Hi,
Progressive
I'm
Powerhouse
Vexo.
debates hosted on the lovely
My general
server of
opinion on the
Political
matter is
Kickback.
just
Today we will be having
the government has
a
no
very
place
intriguing discussion on the topic
in
of
recognizing
trans
people's
validity.
individual
We will be
opinions,
arguing a
and that we
very,
should listen to
very contentious
science
topic, and I hope we have a
and
very productive
how
and
the
intriguing
government
discussion
classifies
between these
people.
Would you like to go first?
However, I don't
Okay,
believe
everyone, our two
that
contestants. Welcome to
socially what we think of each other should depend on what the government classifies us as.
Okay.
And then Papa G, go ahead.
Hello, I'm 𝗱𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗰. I will be taking the affirmative in the trans validity debate. I guess that was kind of an opening statement. Do you have an opening statement prepared? Because I was just going to give my opening statement, I guess. If that's alright.
I guess that was it. I mean,
Oh, okay. If you want to embellish it like later, but I'll get it mine. Yeah. So basically my opening statement is, throughout this debate I'll be affirming the validity of transgender individuals that do not experience gender dysphoria, through i.e. gender euphoria. I will predicate all my lines of argumentation on the basis of academic/medical consensus, the socially constructed nature of gender, the bimodality of sex in the spectrum of both sex and gender, along with providing solutions for how we can treat/affirm gender dysphoria and euphoria, and maximize the best outcomes for trans individuals, which I would ultimately believe would be net positive to society as a whole. So that's basically my position. Hate trans people. You're just like, you're like predicating your line of argumentation around like the scientific consensus around this kind of issue, and like we shouldn't have like government like intervenience in terms of like how we perceive or validify these people. So I guess I'm more curious if you can expand on that for me.
okay, so I believe that the government, when you're born, you're classified as a certain gender.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the gender that you will always be. And I think that as the government, it's their job to recognize that and use that for things like certain job positions, certain things like prison, different things that are non-debatable. However, I believe that socially, as people amongst ourselves, have the right to believe we are whatever we say we are.
Okay, that's an interesting position. So I'm gonna start this off about with like one of my main points, which I usually do for these kind of debates. So with regards to like specifically medical consensus in terms of like actual like validity, so like these are like institutions that are both medical, psychological, psychiatric associations or institutions or health services that like affirm the validity. I will link that in sources for you, if that's alright.
Yeah, sure.
This is like one of them. There are like a couple others I can list too, but generally there are a lot of institutions that already like kind of affirm this validity. So like if we don't have to like, so the way the government uses or utilizes its apparatus to like kind of affirm these definitions is through academic and scientific consensus. A lot of the times those states have like different kind of rulings on these kind of things, whether like they affirm like validity in different ways or they don't, right? So like sometimes they often conflate like sex and gender on like different kind of like things in terms of like, do you identify as this gender, and then they'll have like male and female, which is kind of like not really how like sociologists or like any person that studies these kind of things like biologists would view this. So oftentimes the government in this case is like pretty like I'd say not necessarily uneducated but uninformed and not necessarily up to date with the current consensus on these issues. And check sources real quick. I'm gonna send. Do we have sources in here? Yeah, we do. Yeah. So you just go to sources chat. I will link these are like the major institutions that affirm their validity. But I kind of get where you're going at. I guess you want things to be like most efficient as possible, right? And you don't want there to be like that much ambiguity with regards to gender identity. But however, I think like when we talk about like gender and these kind of things, I think you're like conflating gender and sex. So I have to ask you the question if you believe that gender and sex are the same thing.
Well, could you make sure we're on the same page? Could you define what you think the difference between gender and sex is?
Yeah, sure. Here, I will pull up my definition real quick for you. Make sure I have it on hand. All right. So, gender refers to the socially constructed enacted roles and behaviors which occur in a historical and cultural context, which do vary across societies and over time. And I'll give my definition of sex too, so we can just get that out of the way. So, sex refers to biological differences between females and males, including biological sex markers such as, I'm going to go through these as quickly as possible, chromosomes, gonads, hormones, secondary sex characteristic, external and internal genitalia, skeletal structure, gene expression, brain structure, and personal identity. So there's a lot of like things that we take into consideration. Oh, and hormonal development too. I talked about hormones, specifically hormonal development. But there's a lot of things that go into sex. That's why it's like really complicated.
Okay.
It's like not.
So then, why do you think, if you don't mind me asking this question, why do you think that we are able to classify ourselves as...
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Good job.
So why do you think that we as beings are able to classify ourselves as we want to be? And do you think that with that argument that there are other traits about us, like, in your definition, gender, that is a difference between physical and social, or sorry, psychological?
Sure. These can be social. I think like the main point of like gender is that it's socially constructed, right? So wait, can I just define social constructivism so we're like on the same page of like why? Like... Sure.
And then I want to ask another question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I guess I'll address them point by point, but I'll just define this real quick. So, social.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. A social construct or construction concerns the meaning or notion or connotation behind a certain object or an event in society, and can be adopted by inhabitants of that society with respect to how they view or deal with the object or event. In that respect, a social construct is an idea that would be widely accepted as natural by society. A major focus of social constructivism is to uncover the ways in which individuals and groups participate in social construction of these perceived social realities, and involves the way looking at social phenomena are developed and institutionalized and made into human tradition. So, I can get into like the more nuanced and based epic takes on like why this relates to gender and why gender is socially constructed, and how we've developed our understanding of gender throughout history, and how these roles that gender and identity has like taken on has changed throughout different cultures. But you can go on to your questions. You mind if I write down your questions too as you ask them?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Would you agree that gender is a psychological... by your definition, would you agree that gender is psychological? It's not something that you can physically identify or see or touch. It's something that's made up in a person's mind, by your definition.
I believe that gender, when we talk about gender, it's a socially or the idea of gender is wherein it's derived from social behaviors and societal like pressures and like kind of like stigmas and like ways in which... Here, wait, let me go back to my fucking... Sorry. Yeah, I was basically like going back to my point. I guess I believe that gender encompasses like behaviors and roles. I guess there's some psychological basis, but I think there's different ways in which gender can be influenced, whether that be like... I think for the most part it would be environmental. Like, so how we perceive gender roles, how much we... what kind of roles we allow, and like how we treat different genders in our society. So I think these things have and can change over time, which I guess I don't know if like psychologically the best term, but I do believe that these behaviors can be learned.
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure that I understand your definition of gender.
Yeah.
This is based off of the stereotype that women cook more than men do. Would you say that the female gender, by your definition, would be the gender that cooks more? By the stereotype.
Well, that'd be woman, but I guess like it's fine. We can use them interchangeably. But like, yeah, I guess that is a stereotype, and that can be demonstrated through like, I guess throughout historically, women were predominantly like put in like household like situations where they had to prepare meals and other sorts of like homework and stuff. But yeah, so like when I talk about learned behavior, what I mean by that is I'm saying like we have these... How do I explain this the best way? Essentially, we have these kind of like things in our society where like we have like we have certain roles and positions that need to be fulfilled by people. And I think like we've kind of like the way that gender has developed, it's kind of like encompassed a way in which like we've like throughout like culture and history. So, is it right if I like send you some stuff about like the history and cultural aspect? Because I think that might help my argumentation a little bit here.
Sure.
Because there are ways and behaviors. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I guess the only thing I'm curious about is, do a trans person, if they are born a male and then they identify as something else, would you say that their sex is still male, but their gender is different than what it was when they were born?
Well, so with regards to gender, since gender and sex are not the same thing, I would say that the only thing you really need to do to identify as like a woman or a man in this case would be to just identify as one. But with
I know,
regards to
but
like
I'm saying
sex,
that.
oh, with regards to like sex, like how they're like chromosomes. So like, I think sex is like really fucking complicated with regards to like a lot of these things. So with
But do
regards
you
to
agree, for the most part, modern trans people who either just identify or get hormone therapy,
yeah,
most modern science isn't capable of effectively or cheaply, in a way,
okay.
of changing one's chromosomes. Would you disagree?
Yeah, no, I agree that like we can't like necessarily change like the chromosomes that one is developed with, but I think like sex is a lot more complicated than that, right? So like I listed like a lot of like things that determine or like what we consider are biological markers of sex, right? So we have chromosomes, gonads, hormones. You know, I went through the whole list, but like there's like 10 different things that chromosomes is one aspect, and it's a key aspect, but it's only one aspect of sex. If we look at hormonal development throughout adolescence and like even like in the womb, like all that good stuff, right? These things like probably influence the way we outwardly present in our secondary sex characteristics, especially like facial structure, that kind of thing, skeletal structure, like bone density, all these kind of things, right? There's a lot of like things we do to, I guess, or like maybe performatively like make, let's say, people that are looking to be more outwardly presenting as either a woman or a man, depending on the gender they want to transition to. There are a lot of ways in which we can do this that actually are effective in terms of like not only affirming their validity, but also like curbing like dysphoria they feel and their suicidality and all that kind of stuff. So I think like while I will acknowledge that we can't like like fucking stick like uteruses or like pieces on people like expensively or easily. I would argue that there are a lot of ways in which we can I guess like change the physiology and the characteristics of a trans woman or a man to make them appear or present as more masculine or feminine. But either way, I think like with regards to gender, I think like all you need to do is identify. But with sex, I think it's complicated. But I do think there are ways in which we can change things, such as like hormone blockers and like other kinds of things, in order to like influence how a person develops through adolescence and into adulthood.
So then I'd like to get your opinion on whether or not the government, and this is going back to my original point, whether or not the government should recognize you by your sex or your gender.
Yeah, so I think like in terms of like keeping records on things, you can like I don't think like the government should assign you a gender or that kind of thing. I think we would derive much more utility by affirming trans people's like personal identities. So like having the ability to like I guess we have like two commonly accepted identities in our society, like man and woman. You would agree with that, right?
Yes.
So like I'm saying we could have that, and I'll probably like in other role if you're trying in terms of like the efficiency and utility of like let's say like if I have to identify this person as one thing, I'd put them down as like a man or a woman or that kind of thing, or like what they identify as. Like so with regards to like maybe if I had to like fill out something, if I'm like for example I just did my college application, they asked me like what gender I was. I had the option to choose from man, woman, or other, right? So like probably something to that effect. I don't think we should assign gender at birth, though. That's
okay, but I'm not asking about gender. I'm asking, by your definition, do you think that a person who is born male as their sex should be always be counted as a male, regardless of what their gender is? Would you agree with that?
no, I don't think I would necessarily agree with that, right? Because I do think like with regards to like another component of like other biological of like the biological markers we're talking about was personal identity, and like with regards to personal identity, it's defined as how a person self-identifies. It is often the result of other factors in interacting, making it a valuable like most academics would affirm that personal identity is also a key component in like sex too, right? So I would say
but can I get? I'm going to give an example here.
Yeah, sure.
By your definition, you said it's what's physical, and I can get on par with that. However, I don't believe that a person who's born male and identifies as a female should be allowed in female sports, as it's proven that they have a physical advantage because of the way that males are built compared to the way that females are built.
Do you have studies or data on that? Because I have some studies with regards to trans athletes and that kind of thing. Maybe I could send that your way.
Sure.
Yeah, one second. Let me just I have a huge document. Gotta. You're talking about trans athletes, correct?
Correct.
Alright, so it appears to be the case with these studies I have that trans athletes are at no significant advantage in athletics, especially since hormones reverse any strength discrepancies, yet face, and I'll substantiate this in a second, yet face substantial discrimination in sports. So we have to keep in mind that like specific instances of trans people winning sports and competition doesn't necessarily prove anything about broader trends. So if we look about like data and stuff like this, I can send you one meta-analysis on this too. And with regards to like if we talk about like puberty blockers or like different kind of like medications or hormones or that kind of thing that actually like affect a trans person's physiological like status, I think you'll actually find that for the most part they actually perform about the same as their either particular gender or like sex. Because as this appears out in the data, so here I'm going to send you something about sports and trans people. It's from the NCBI, so it's a pretty good source.
I'm trying to find this study, and because I know you can find, and I'm sure you'll agree with it, that multiple female athletes have complained about the fact that trans athletes are able to compete with them because they believe they have an unfair advantage.
Okay, and they can totally believe that, and I think like to some extent like trans people also like I think like people don't really give trans people enough credit for like how much like they try and to fit into like the mainstream and like try to not like necessarily like disrupt any like normal activity. So like sometimes like before like trans they don't actually identify with this gender, they'll still use the same gender bathroom they were using out of like respect, because like obviously it's not like socially accepted to like for them to use it. But, like I think with regards to like sports and that kind of thing, it doesn't appear like the data affirms like the claim you're making. But here, so I'm gonna send you. I think I'm gonna send one meta-analysis in of a couple studies in a debate channel. One second. Sources. There we go. So that's the NCBI link. You can check it out there, and I'll just go over some key points from it. So
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll be quick. I don't want to. This won't take up too much time.
Okay.
So this meta-analysis covers prior research on transgender individual performance in sports and pre-existing sports policies concerning trans people. The study found that there is no direct research across sex and hormones and gender-affirming surgery. Compared to the sports policies that place restrictions on transgender people, for me, I think they need to be like considered and revised, because a lot of additional findings show that most sports are not evidence-based, and trans individuals experience like a lot of discrimination when it comes to like sports and institutions. I think we can see this demonstrated in like a lot of like either like media coverage or like just public perception of like trans people. Because I think like a lot of people don't think that trans people are like valid in any way. So like a lot of this could lead to a lot of discrimination. Like I think you'll see it demonstrated throughout like different kind of like fields. Whether this, yeah, I don't want to ramble on too much because I know you wanted to get a point across on. Oh, you go ahead.
Is there most of the evidence I've been putting out is female athletes complaining about former male transitioned to females.
Man, how do these people keep getting in here? Jesus, you guys are shit at this. Okay, continue.
Most of these people that are complaining are because of former males going into female sports and then winning, and
okay,
it appear to have a significant advantage over the naturally female contestant.
So, okay.
But part of the reason that I believe that this is a valid thing is there are females that have transitioned into males, and you don't see the same phenomenon going on in male sports.
So I don't think. Well, with regards to a lot of things, when we talk about like trans men, I think for the most part, it's like trans men are not necessarily like broadly We usually talk about trans women, male to female, because I think there's a lot of like issues with regards to validity around like are they actually women or not? Because we cover that more often than not.
But why
Honestly,
wouldn't it
with
be the
regards to trans women.
same if it's irrelevant? Shouldn't it be the same for each gender?
Yeah, no. So like the meta-analysis I provided with regards to female and so transgender female individuals or male individuals, so it's both. This is the meta-analysis I provide. They don't have like no direct or consistent research to demonstrate that they have an athletic advantage at like any of their transitionary stages. Like I think like a lot of people conflate like one of my friends brought this up to me too. Females and like males like in terms of like actual like like when it comes to competing in sports, like I don't think I've seen that many like studies affirming that like we should keep segregating sports in the way we do, because I think like a lot of it comes like from a misunderstanding of like how females like build muscle mass, because like if you were to look at like a buff man and a buff woman, they look fundamentally different, right? The way in which like a female grows muscle mass is like through like I don't know the exact ways, but they do build muscle mass different, and I think it's just more I think overt with men, for lack of a better term, and like more covert for women. I'm sorry if it's shady terminology, but you kind of get what I'm saying. But so like it just seems like from the study, especially that meta-analysis, the meta-analysis wasn't like just like, so what meta-analyses are, right?
Yes.
I'm not done. Okay, yeah. So like we looked over a lot of studies, and it appears to be the case that there's no like good data that suggests like with regards to these kind of like research in any study or data that's been done on this trans athletes like do perform like or like outperform in a statistically significant way, like an average athlete. And before, just like one more thing. I know I'm rambling on a little bit, but I think it's important to acknowledge this. I completely understand like why. Nice.
It might
Dude,
be.
holy shit! You guys need to get your shit under control. What the fuck are you guys doing? I'm so sorry about
No,
this.
so people are lying to the mods.
What you can do is you can make a rule for us and the mods, and then mute or have the general permissions not allow anyone else to speak.
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry about this. This is really unprofessional.
That's right.
Yeah, but like I think with regards to like this, like the reason like why a lot of female athletes might believe this is because there are a lot. You would agree that there are a lot of like negative connotations behind the idea of like kind of like men like outshowing women in that aspect with regards to sports, and I don't think like most people in America affirm the validity of trans people with regards to like them actually being women or not. And I think this is like probably one of the biggest problems with like why trans probably like why people would view trans athletes so negatively, and like why their fellow participants or potential participants would be like really concerned about them, because either there's not a lot of information or education on this, and there's not necessarily a lack of public understanding. A study that I have to go with this would be from the University of Leicester. Here, I'll link that to you in sources. You know what that is, right?
Yeah. Would you
Sources?
agree that?
Yeah, go ahead.
What grows muscle mass and effectively, for lack of better words, make us stronger is the testosterone that our bodies produce, and males have a significantly higher percentage of it in our bodies.
Yeah, I would agree that so like with regards to hormonal development, are you talking about trans athletes specifically, or just generally like
I'm talking
male,
about generally that's what makes us stronger and more masculine.
Yeah, sure. I would agree that hormones are like definitely a major like role in like sex. I'd argue it's one of the biggest, since like we go through hormonal development like in the womb, in the beginning near to the end of embryonic development, throughout our adolescence and even into adulthood in some very cases. So yeah, I believe so. I'd be willing to.
Then, would you think that it would be alright, or do you think it would be demeaning for female trans athletes to be tested for how much testosterone they have, and if it's not a normal level, to be excluded from said sport?
So you'd have to provide me like I don't shut the burden in like a bad faith way. I'm just like curious. So you would have to provide to me a substantial argument to like what threshold we would have of like a specific amount of androgen in either female athletes, or which would be like testosterone, or like a specific amount of testosterone in women that would So like, are we talking about like just averages of like how much?
I'm saying on average, there would, if we had a range.
Okay.
You can find.
Okay. Yeah.
Range.
So
if there was a.
I'm not saying it doesn't
higher,
exist. I was just wondering.
If there was a higher than average level of testosterone, would you be against excluding them from the sport?
If it demonstrated, I would concede that if it demonstrated a particular like advantage over that
But you
a
did you not
demonstrably
just, but
what?
I sorry,
No,
I
no,
didn't
like
interrupt. But do you
oh yeah,
did
go
you
ahead.
not just agree that testosterone levels, when
Yeah,
are at the level that they are for males, makes them
yeah.
objectively stronger than a female?
Okay, so yeah, depending on different like hormonal levels, I would agree. But once again, this is also like going into another argument too, with like regards to like how I view sports. So with regards to like desegregation of sports, I think these things should like be like skill based. We can also like determine things like on the basis of like weight class and height. I think that's how they should actually be determined, rather than like these kind of arbitrary markers, like kind of testosterone. Like if we can demonstrate that a person, like on an average, a group of people were able in the same weight class, same like level of skill. This can be determined by trainers, like coaches, and that kind of thing, and also have about the same like height class and weight class. Then I think they should be able to participate in the same sport together.
But
Like,
I mean, you can have a 5'9", 200-pound male and a
Mhm.
5'9", 200-pound female, and they are significantly different in their athletic ability.
Not necessarily. Like we agree that people they build muscle. Okay, wait, so you'd have to like. Can you substantiate like that those people with the same like stats, and obviously we would presuppose that they would have the same skills too, I assume. So if we go into this, like they have the same skills, they have the same weight class, they'd have the same height, and the only difference was they either identified as a woman or man, or they were biologically or uh, their sex was like male or female. Like I was wondering if you could like present like some stuff.
So I actually just posted a article and sources
Mhm.
that shows
Change
that, and this is just as a reference, but
Mhm.
it shows that trans men and trans women who go through hormone therapy significantly change in their testosterone level, which affects their body mass and overall strength.
So is this for trans women or trans men? I'm curious.
Both. It shows
Yeah.
actual
So does it show
numbers.
it improving or like decline? Do you know? Or did I know you found
And
the study?
trans men, to be clear, women that transition into men,
Mhm. Yeah.
shows their body mass going up, while opposite happens for other.
Well, that would
And
seem to corroborate my point with regards to like them being able
most
to.
definitely, but
Yeah.
you are forgetting another side of trans
Yeah,
people
sure.
that don't go through hormone therapy. So should people who simply identify as a different gender, as you said earlier, would be valid, but do you think that they should be allowed in the same sports?
So
If someone who doesn't, should a male who has done nothing other than identify as a female, should they be allowed in female sport?
So I advocate for the complete desegregation of sports with regards to like gender and sex. I
would you
think
not
like
agree that a male inherently has a advantage over a female? And if so, do you have any statistics to back that up?
yeah. So with regards, so like okay, here. Can I just state like my position on desegregation, why I believe in it, or like not desegregation with regards to sports, and maybe that'll clarify some stuff. Or do you kind of like?
So I guess what I'm asking is,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I believe that in sports, males have a advantage physically over females.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
I mean,
Here, let me can I try and like address this then?
Sure.
I'll try and like find a good way to address this. So, under my system, under my desegregated system, like let's say I presuppose and acknowledge that this is true. Under my system, under this desegregated system, this would be accounted for because we would do these things on the basis of weight class. We would do this stuff on the basis of height class. We would do this stuff on the basis of skills and any other meaningfully confounding variable that we needed to control for with regards to performance, that kind of thing. So yeah, this wouldn't be an issue. If it happens to be the case that some males go into certain spaces on the basis of like gender roles, that kind of thing, like gender identity, like societal like connotations behind like their gender, like that kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't care as long as like I think it should just be done on the basis of skill, weight class, and height. That's what I believe.
but would you not? And this isn't. This is based off of how things are.
Sure.
There's been numerous studies that,
Mhm.
on average, women who, compared to athletic women compared to athletic men, are
Okay.
not as strong or masculine. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but
Sure. Sure.
they would be put at an unfair advantage. And the reason why there's things like the NBA versus the WNBA is to give
Mhm.
women a fair chance to compete
Okay.
against someone in their skill level.
Let
It's
me
nothing.
let me present this to you in a way that maybe this will be like a little more clear. So when I stated that I think people should be put into things based on their weight, their skills, and their height, I'm controlling for the most like confounding things that would affect a person's performance with regards to this. I don't think gender and sex meaningfully. Like, regardless, we can even presuppose that they meaningfully do this. My system controls for all of this, and while it may be the case that due to some gender roles or like testosterone differences in male or female athletes, with regards to like androgen and like testosterone male and female athletes, I think my system would still control for that because it may be the case, it may certainly be the case that more men and more women get into certain classes on average on that basis. But regardless of that, I think like my system still controls for that, and it would still lead to a desegregate. It would essentially, like the rules would be how to desegregate it, and I think you'll be more surprised to see that the outcomes of desegregation will find a balance of like different individual and athletes in their respective classes.
Okay, so I just, in sources, I put a.
Mm-hmm. Here, I need to copy and paste this one.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's take a minute.
It's by Duke. I just want to read this here. And the 2017 Olympics.
We can read it together.
Okay.
Where are you right now?
I'm at the very top. It's versatile.
Yep. All right, I see.
There you go. So it's referencing the 2017 World Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially saying that they took the most elite athletes from both men and women, and the men beat the women 15,000 times through.
So, just instead, are you referring to the which I see two key? Or is that for both of them you're reading?
So I guess I can just post the excerpt in.
Yeah, post the excerpt. Yeah, 1 second.
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay, so Justin single year. Sorry, numbers are 0. This is true. So how did they simulate this on the basis of like stats or like what was their methodology?
They used this based off of Olympics data. Okay.
So right, okay. So they took aggregate data from the aggregate data from like the statistics they have with regards to like the Olympic World U.S. Championships and with regards to men and women respectively, and they found that there was a difference with regards to male and female performance.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think I can still maintain the same, and not that I want to move off. Not that I want to move off this, but I think we're running out of a little time here. I don't know how much time we have left. Leon, do you know how much?
No, I believe it's actually has the turn going.
It's actually. I don't mean to derail the conversation. I was just wondering.
Sorry. You guys are not running out of time. I mean, like, there's about half left. There's 28 minutes, so.
Okay, 20 minutes.
I don't know
Okay.
if you guys have any other points, like any crazy amount of points, but you guys have 28 minutes, so you guys aren't really running out of time.
It's just because I wanted to get to like transition and social transition too, but it's not like I did because I think this point's pretty valid. Because I definitely I'm definitely interested in like trans athletes.
What
so
I'm
yeah,
trying to show is that without any transitioning, men on average, and this isn't obviously always the case, but on average, comparing the most elite of each sex,
yes,
men come out stronger most of the time. And I'm not saying that this is, I'm just saying on average, this is the truth. And
so,
with that in mind.
Yeah, so, oh yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think you were cutting out on my end. Please go ahead.
Sorry. So, with that in mind, people who don't go through hormone therapy
Mhm.
and just identify as women
Mhm.
still have a physical advantage over the natural women.
So it appears to be the case. Well, if you're trying to make prescriptions about trans women and trans men, I don't think this would probably be the best one to do. Because while there are because trans women and trans men have been demonstrated to like be in the Olympics for like or participate in the Olympics for like a while. So I don't know. I don't think you're trying to make prescriptions on them though. But so like I think like once again my system, my desegregated like sports system controls for this. So I acknowledge that there might be disparities in terms of like different classes like having a disproportionate amount of like gender. However, I think you'll find that there would be a significant enough. I wouldn't even call them outliers. I think you'll find a statistically significant enough portion of the population that would also be both men and women with regards to like the class here. Can I send you another thing? Because I wanted to address the point you made with regards to the females
I'm saying regardless of the hormone therapy, because
Yeah.
with I'd admit that with the studies that you've shown, I'll do some more research personally, but
Sure thing.
with the study you've shown, it does look like people who do go through the hormone therapy get that testosterone and are able to boost themselves in the way that maybe normal themselves wouldn't be able to. But I'm saying,
Sure.
because earlier your definition of gender,
Yeah,
you said that
go
the
back to
only
that.
thing that they need to be to identify as that gender is to identify as it. They
Yes,
don't-
correct.
And I'm saying, with the evidence that I have provided, it's shown that a non-transitioned, per se,
Mhm.
male is still as strong as they were before.
So with regards to like gender, I personally don't believe I don't like gender at all. I think it's like pretty ambiguous in the way we like attribute it because like it's so arbitrary in the way which we define it. So like my position on gender is the fact that it's socially constructed means it can take on the roles that we need to. So gender, like as I said before, enacted roles and behaviors which occur in a historical and cultural context and vary across societies. Sex has maintained around the same, like most societies and cultures throughout history have maintained the relative idea of like what sex is, but gender is not the same in that respect. So I can send you some stuff on with regards to that here. So there's the history extra for the BBC. I will.
I have no. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. I'll be super quick, all right? Then you can go.
Yeah.
So it basically affirms. I'll just read a quote from it. Nor had boys always been called boys until the late 15th century of the world. Girl simply meant a child of either sex. Boys were where they had to be differentiated were referred to as nape girls, and girls in the female sense were called gay girls. Interesting, isn't it? Equally, a boy could be called a nape girl and a girl a maiden child. The term boy was referred to for servants or churls, the meaning young man probably deriving from the latter as a pejorative term, but not occurring before that. And this can be demonstrated throughout like a lot of history, right? We see like a lot of differentiation and variance with how different societies viewed gender and the roles in which they played in the society. And these things have been demonstrably changed throughout society. Obviously, like as we've gotten more socially progressive, a lot of the roles in which women tend to fulfill or are not fulfilled are being either fulfilled or not fulfilled by women because now they're having more educational opportunities, and they're now being allowed to diversify in terms of like the jobs they do and all that kind of shit, right? So like I think like it's pretty historically demonstrable that gender is now like fluid in the sense that, like it is due to change on the basis of like how society like needs it to change, that kind of thing. So I think that's why it's kind of arbitrary. So I can definitely see like why you'd kind of be like weirded out by like me saying you can just basically identify as like whatever.
Well, I mean, I personally don't have a problem with anyone saying that they are whatever gender they want to be. My problem lies whenever they have a physical advantage, as I've shown with the study, that someone who hasn't physically changed themselves has the same advantages, and that's the reason why
Mhm.
most men and women don't play the same sports, because men do have a physical advantage over women. And
Hi-
the study that I show, like, it's
S-
because of the way that we're built. And I
Yeah.
guess if we want to stop talking about this, we can. Just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, if you want, we can like close up our statements if you want,
Yeah,
and then we just
it's
move on to like the yeah.
it's around 10:45 right now. I feel like now's a good time to start to get into closing statements. So
Wait, can we like have 5 minutes? Just I don't know.
Again, I'm not trying to interrupt anything, but
Yeah,
you
sure.
guys technically have 22 minutes on the clock. So if you guys, I just don't want to rush anyone. I want you guys to like be able to, I guess, debate to your fullest amount. So if you want, like, you guys still have 5 minutes each for closing statements after this time is over as well. So just whenever you're ready to end, just
Okay.
just like remind me of the time.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to like? I think we can like sum up our statements, and maybe we can go into another topic. If we were, I have stuff on like we can talk about like gendered behavior, and like why I think gendered behavior is like learned, or we can talk about like transition surgery, like medical or like a social transition.
Yeah. So
Whichever one.
I think we can go through all of them. I mean, if we are, if
Yeah,
we can,
we'll try and be quick. We'll try and be quick. Let's see.
we can partition each of them to 5-minute little segments, and then the other two things I really wanted to talk about is reproduction, as well as fuck, I forgot.
That's a we.
Yeah, sorry.
As we talk, you might remember. So yeah. So I'll just close up my position. So essentially, my position, regardless, I do think like trans, like it appears to be the case that regardless of like whatever states like these people are transitioning from, there appears to be no demonstrable like statistically significant results indicating that they have a statistically significant advantage over cisgendered men and women. And with regards to this, my prescriptive solution to this would be desegregating sports. Instead of controlling for the most confounding variables, which probably contribute to high statistically significant disparities with regards to performance, which would be height class, weight class, and skill. I think these would control for any disparities that you would actually find in most sports. And I think while there may be a lot of there may be some variation with regards to like certain classes or like certain of these like groups being having maybe more men or maybe more women in them, there might be that kind of variation, and I think that's totally fine. But I think it'd be more ethical, and it'd probably be just more simple to just have them put in these like unarbitrary, like really controlled for groups that actually that can probably control for like the amount of like let's say advantage one person might have over the other. That's basically my position. If you want to like wrap it up,
All right.
Then we can just go into whatever.
All right, my position is that people who identify as a different gender than what they were naturally born have a advantage if they are a male over natural female athletes. As studies have shown, the most elite male athletes have beaten the most elite female athletes. And I think that regardless of weight and height class, that's the most significant portion of why they win is because, or why they do statistically better, is because of their natural hormone.
Do you want to? I guess we close it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 10? Okay. So we can go on to like I want to do like a couple of things real quick. So we can either pick your poison, I guess. Would you like to do gendered behavior? Would you like to do medical and social transition, or would you like to just kind of ask me a question or anything?
All right.
Because I kind of want to get into stuff, and you want to get into stuff, so maybe we can just pick one.
I honestly didn't even realize that it was timed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just kind of like because everyone's busy and it's like midnight. And mods have to do stuff, but maybe we can have like another conversation, just like not as a debate, and just another time. But
So, anyways, would you? I mean, it's basic science that every single organism does what it can to survive and to carry on throughout the world. and humans are no different. And a trans person can't reproduce with another trans person in the same way that a cis person might, because I mean, as of right now, there's not a way for a former male to have a child, and that's a basic part of living.
Okay. So with regards to like, so there are a lot of options like that, reproductive options like trans individuals. This is just like, I guess like, in terms of like science. So like with regards to like how humans have developed, we've developed in a way to compensate our lack of, let's say our lack of physique, our lack of physiological strength or intelligence through like well, I guess we use our intelligence to kind of like develop like tools and things to help us do things that we weren't particularly able to do, like fly, like all these things, right? That we weren't like necessarily built to do. I think, and one of these things is like also like have like people that are have like certain parts removed, or I guess like we can talk about like trans, because some trans people keep particular like portions of their body, obviously like genitalia, that kind of stuff,
Yes.
and some don't. I guess we're talking about the people that become infertile due to their surgery. So there are like here I have a little thing from Yale Medicine with regards to reproductive options for trans people. I'll read like a segment for it, and I'll link it too. Do you want to read along, or you just want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Here, I'll link it in sources. One second. I'm terribly sorry about the interruptions earlier too. I did not expect that. They were a little funny, but they got a little annoying after the second one.
One scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, no, I mean one was like really loud. I thought one of the mods were playing.
Yeah, I was just reading out of nowhere.
Yeah.
All right, so where are you?
Yeah. So if you go down, there are two options that say how can a transgender woman conceive and how can a transgender man conceive.
Okay.
And there's also fertility preservation options from male to female males. But we can go through each of them. I'll read them all and then we can just talk about it. If you have any questions or like. So transgender women. So what are fertility preservation options for male to female patients? Transgender women have may freeze sperm, which can later be utilized by a female partner gestational carrier. For such patients, Yale offers state-of-the-art, obviously they do the services there. State-of-the-art sperm freezing cryopreservation services using on Insight Lab, where sperm can safely be indefinitely be preserved for when the person decides they want to conceive. How can a transgender woman conceive? Transgender women with a female partner may choose to utilize cryopreserved sperm for partner insemination. Male to female patients with cryopreserved sperm who do not have a female partner may utilize a gestational carrier. In this case, eggs would be obtained from a pre-screened doctor or a donor, which would then be inseminated with frozen sperm, and resulting in embryos would be transferred to gestational carriers. And kind of like a simplified same thing for female to male and transgender men.
Yeah. So even with this, it's still a former male is still playing the role of providing the sperm to a female.
Yeah.
So a person who's born male cannot become pregnant. And that's as simple as it comes, is a defining factor of what a male and a female is. Even without direct words or social constructs or anything, that's I'd say arguably one of the most important roles of male and females. And that's why I think that physically a person who's born male can never physically become a female.
Okay, so let's say somebody was like born infantile at birth, with regards to like not being transgender, like that they didn't have like their genitalia either removed or like turned into like surgery's complicated. Okay, you know what I mean. So let's say they were made infertile by surgery. So do you think there's like a meaningful difference in terms like would you consider that person to not be a male or a female just because they were born infertile? Because for me, I don't think that's necessarily the case. And like I said before, with the defining like biological markers of sex, Definitely, like, one of them is gonads and external genitalia, right? But like, I also think the chromosomal makeup of your is a big one. The hormonal development, hormonal secretion is a big one. Skeletal structure, gene expression, brain structure, personal identity. These are all like things. So, because I think sex is like really fucking complicated, right? And I don't think. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And in response to what you just said, I don't think that it's one of the main traits. I don't think that a woman who is no longer able to, or even born without the ability to reproduce, is not a female. Same reason why I don't think that a woman who gets a hysterectomy is not a female. I don't think that naturally, if they were, say, normal and what their gender would have been, say they could reproduce, would still be a female. Even without classifying them as a certain, if we wanted to call females attack helicopters and men stones.
Based. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm saying, regardless of what you want to call them, it's still what their physical roles, what they're programmed physically to do.
Alright, so
because I don't obviously I think that thing is people mix up the psychological and the physical factors of it way too much.
Okay, let's talk about the kind of gradient that sex exists on. I'll use an example. I'll use me as an example, right? So compared to like other males, I might deviate, because there's obviously variation within like every population, or like most populations, unless you control for specific things, and like there's something really fucking wrong with them in certain scenarios, or like Darwinism, whatever the fuck, right? So like generally speaking, the human population, or the population we recognize now, there's a lot of variation in terms like male presentation with regards to like I think one of the best ones are like, obviously there can be variation between like any of the other biological markers I listed, but let's talk about hormones. Let's talk about like the testosterone levels I have. Now, the reason why we have averages for male testosterone is because not all of them are the same. Some males have more testosterone than other males. However, I don't think me having more testosterone, let's say in Panini, because he's a small boy, and obviously, he doesn't have much testosterone. I'm a big boy, and I have a lot of testosterone. So, but I wouldn't say necessarily he's less of a male than I am. Maybe in some esoteric way, but I would argue that like I don't think that doesn't make him a male. Right? I don't think that, because you see where I'm getting at here. I think that with regards to like the complicated nature of like sex, I don't think we can necessarily make these kind of prescriptions where like, oh, this person can't reproduce, so they're not like a male or female. Do they meet certain biological markers? Do they have the chromosomal makeup? Do they have the hormones? Do they have the secondary sex characteristics? Do they have the skeletal structure, gene expression? Do they have the brain structure, personal identity? Like, there's a lot of components, right? So like, I don't necessarily think we can arbitrarily like go around saying like, oh, this person isn't a male because they don't have the balls. Like, quite literally, right? Or like, I guess like a penis, right? Or they were, they got some fucked up, right? And I think just due to this variation, I don't think a good way of classifying somebody's sex on the basis of the fact that they can't reproduce is probably the best way to classify their sex.
But
I think there are a lot better indicators.
Would you agree with me, and I'm just going to give out a fairly bland explanation, but
sure, go
would
ahead.
you agree that chromosomes are instructions that are hard-coded into what make us male or female, and things that produce things like hormones or reproductive organs or stuff like that?
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, like, certain things in like your environment can influence stuff. Like during gestation, if there were like some externality, I'm using externality is probably not the best term, but like some external force, for lack of a better term, that were to impact you, or in some environmental factor that would impact you. Besides that, I would say like chromosomal development, or like the expression of chromosomes, are probably like a big thing that that influence your biological markers. Yeah.
So then, with that in mind, would you, if say someone who's born male, gets hormone therapy gets estrogen, and gets it once, and then over for the rest of it, and then normal.
I think you're cutting out for me a little bit.
They temporarily had estrogen. I'm sorry. Am I better now? Am I any better?
Yeah,
now?
no, I can hear you. There might have been a spike on my end. Sorry.
All right.
Anything
Yeah,
inconvenient.
sorry.
But go ahead, please. Sorry.
Someone, a former male, someone who was born male, let's say they decided they wanted to transition into a female via hormone therapy. They get their estrogen, but they only get it once. And then because of what their chromosomes are, they naturally balance the amounts to where testosterone is higher. Would you say that they're back to being a male, or?
So, are you saying like if they like detransition?
No, they just. I guess that's what you could call it, but they just they don't take any more testosterone or.
So they just stop. So, if they stop taking testosterone, so essentially they'd be detransitioning. They stop taking testosterone, and they're hormonal. I don't know if like that's. I don't know if that's demonstrable, but I guess in this hypothetical we can entertain it. So yeah, I guess like in terms of like if they're okay. So if the hormonal development, this also depends on the age too, right? So like with regards to like hormone block, so like a strategy like a lot of the medical community has come up is to use a. Are you familiar with hormone blockers or puberty blockers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like puberty blockers. So this obviously would depend on the age, right? Too. But
I'm sorry,
I guess
you're cutting out.
Oh yeah, wait, can you hear me now, comrade?
You're cutting in and out. Sorry. Yeah.
Wait, okay.
Yeah, sounds better.
Can you hear me now? Okay, better. I will
Yeah.
speak closer into my mic so everything's super clear. So yeah, I think this would have to depend on what stage of transition they're in. I guess and once again, hormonal development is one aspect of sex too. It's a big aspect. I will definitely acknowledge that. I think it's a big aspect personally, demonstratably. But yeah, I think there's like a lot of other things that goes with that. I don't think they necessarily like, stop becoming a certain sex. Once again, I think this exists like kind of on this gradient. So while they might start expressing or presenting more, let's say, more as a male than they would have, or more as a female, given I can't remember which one you use, but either one.
Either way.
Yeah, but I once there's a lot of things we'd have to presuppose. So like I don't know like how congruent that like example would be. I need like more. I need more like information.
I guess my point is oh, go ahead. Sorry, Maud.
No.
Sorry.
You finish your statement. Actually, that's a better way to close it off.
Okay. I guess my just closing statement is our bodies are programmed with instructions that guide us a certain way, and it's unnatural and incorrect to when you're having hormone therapy. I don't think that it makes you the sex that you are getting hormones for. I think that your sex is determined by what your instructions are.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So
Do you want me to end it off then, Panini?
Well, I think what we should do right now is it's 11 o'clock. I think it's a good time to kind of close things off. If Papa, I understand Vexo closed off the hormone thing. If Papa wants to begin with his closing statement, you can do it, and then Vexo can do his. Basically, your closing statement should just be a summation of your arguments and why you think you. Actually, no.
No, don't do like a professional like thing. You know, this is Discord debate.
Just some of your arguments. But yeah.
Yeah. So.
Start with Papa.
Oh wait, I was gonna go first. Do you want to go first, or like, is it alright if I go first?
Papa, you can go first. Yeah.
Oh yeah, go first.
Okay. I'll be super quick. Don't worry. So yeah, I think throughout this debate, I think I've empirically demonstrated the validity of trans people. We didn't get to the regardless of euphoria dysphoria part, but I still believe that. Maybe we can get into this in another conversation.
Okay.
Once again, I used academic consensus and like medical consensus to corroborate a lot of my arguments. We talked about gender and sex. I believe I was pretty coherent with my definitions and consistent. Ultimately, I think affirming the validity of trans people. I believe like I've demonstrated through the use of my argumentation with regards to gender and sex. I think I've corroborated the validity of trans people and their ability to identify any way they wish. And with regards to hormones, like I said, sex and gender are not the same thing, and sex in itself is complicated. And there are a lot of biological markers that determine sex, which I've stated a couple times already. And one of them is obviously hormones and gonads. So hormonal development is definitely important. I think it's probably one of the most long-standing, most impactful things that happened over your lifetime. So while chromosomes are definitely important in determining certain biological markers, I definitely think hormones have a huge benefit on like a lot of other characteristics that develop during adolescence and during gestation and even after adolescence too. So that's my closing.
𝗱𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, your turn.
Alright, I still believe that the sex of a person is determined by their chromosomes, the things that instruct a body how and when and all that good stuff to produce and do, because until there's a easily available way for science to change someone's chromosomes, I believe that one can only believe that they are a certain gender, and it's up to society and not the government to recognize what they want to recognize. And I don't think that while the government should prevent them from doing that, I also don't think that the government should force society into cooperating with those self-proclaimed gender identities.
Okay.
Amazing.
And with that, we have concluded the debate. Previous to this, we have created a channel called Official Debate Q&A. Previous to the debate or during the debate, people were sending some questions in. I also have some questions from the stream chat that I'm going to ask both of the debaters just to clarify their points and to get some audience interaction. If you're interested in participating, go to the Official Debate Q&A channel and type in your questions there. If you're a mod, by the way, or Aggie's been doing it for now, but she's been pinning the questions that she thinks I should ask the debaters. So I'll I guess do that. This one is from Aggie herself. This is for 𝗱𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Why do you
Screw you, Aggie. You suck.
Why do you think that sports or athletic ability is defined for trans people? I think what she's trying to say is, why do you think sports or athletic development matter in terms of trans validity?
So that's actually not the point I was trying to get across. The point I was trying to get across is it might seem conflicting for a trans person because I believe that trans people don't perform the same way as a natural gender in sports or athletics. I don't think that the way that they necessarily are athletic, because you can have a man who's super athletic, but you can also have a man who's not. I don't think that it's necessarily based on athletic ability, but I think that when it comes to athletes, the natural men and trans women, former men, are still holding an advantage over natural women.
Okay. I'll take one for the pro team now. This one is from Frizzle and Freddy for Council.
Alright.
Let me look at their pronouns, make sure I don't misgender them.
Yeah, don't fucking do that like you usually do. Yeah, that's very nice.
They asked, do you believe female to male trans people, when they transition as a man, have male privilege? That's an interesting question.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So I guess I think like when we talk about like male privilege and that kind of thing, there are a lot of ways. I guess there's like the socialized way in which we view like men and I guess males, in which they can garner that kind of privilege. I think that has a lot to do with like presentation. I don't think that does. I don't think that necessarily invalidates. I think like trans people in a way. I think like most trans people also acknowledge that like obviously they might not face the same discrimination in the same way that I guess like a fully presenting woman might, or a cis woman or a cis man would. But I do think like I think you'll find that a lot of like passing trans people do face that kind of discrimination.
Yeah. This one is for 𝗱𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. I'm going to combine both of these questions because they basically ask the same thing. This one was from Leighton, Dictator of The Hague, in Discord, and the official debate Q&A channel, and the other one was from Fatima on the stream chat. Both of them asked, basically, how do you feel about intersex athletes and how they should be classified in sports teams? So how do you think they should be kind of dealt with in terms of the segregated sports system that you support?
I'm sorry?
Could you hear me? My bad.
Yeah, sorry, you cut out at the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I was asking was essentially, how do you feel about intersex athletes and how they should be classified in your segregated sporting system?
All right, so I actually haven't done much research on intersex. However, my general opinion is still the same, that they should meet a certain threshold with their testosterone and estrogen, because I believe that still is the defining factor based muscle mass and overall strength. However, I think that if there is a way for them to their chromosomes, I still think that it's based on their actual physical biological traits.
Okay. And Papa, I want you to get ready for this one. These are the hard-hitting questions that need to be answered, okay?
Oh,
This is
good. It's gonna be a shitty one. Go ahead.
This is this is from Ronnie Hate Account.
Oh, good.
This person says,
My
I'm just gonna say
favorite.
this person, so it's gender neutral.
Yeah.
Despite making up only 13% of the population,
Mhm.
why do black people commit more than 50% of all violent crime? That is the question.
Okay, so the reason why they do this is because they're literally trying to get back at you, Ronnie, because you're such a piece of shit, alright? They're literally trying to make society
Wait.
demonstrably worse because you are such a terrible person, okay?
It's
Not Ronnie,
because
excuse
black
me.
people are black, that's why.
Wait, Buttface,
Can I-
if you
can I-
want to put your question in, please don't send it through a private chat. Please send it in this specific channel.
Yeah, but
Can I-
what the fuck
can
are you
I-
doing?
When I'm streaming, I won't be able to.
Yes, you can answer that, you can answer that. Can you let the negative answer that, please?
Okay, can I have an opinion on the question that was just asked?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I think it all has something to do with the overall the pollution that's put out by tractors, and
I
I
agree.
think that that's the end goal for, or should be the end goal for all of the human race, to abolish the tractors. And once we've achieved that, I mean, no more issues.
My pronouns are tractor. That's actually very deeply offensive to me. How dare you misgender me?
I hope you're
Well,
offended.
Buttface, if you want, okay, cool.
Oh no, I just saw the fucking question.
Buttface, okay. I
Oh
don't know
my
if I'm gonna
god,
be able
shut
to
up.
ask that one. The 1350 question was a bit of a meme, but I want to get some more serious questions.
I'm not gonna give you serious questions. Alright, one more question, then we're done.
One of the main reasons that I asked that was because I want more like differentiation of the questions between like like the pro side and the anti side. So I'm not like, it doesn't seem like I'm asking so many questions to the anti side, because obviously there are more questions for Vexo 307. This one is from Trump Phobic. I won't read
Nice.
the entire thing because it's quite long.
Yeah, summarize it.
Like 6 questions.
Who's this for?
Just this is for you, Vexo.
Okay.
They put like 6 questions, so I'm just gonna ask the first one.
Based.
I don't understand if trans women shouldn't participate in women's sports.
Okay. So regarding this debate, I don't understand if trans women shouldn't participate in women's sports. Should they assumingly participate in men's sports? So, like, do you think that people who are trans women should, instead of participating in the women's sports, instead they should participate in the men's sports, right?
I think that if they can prove that they don't have if they have within the range of average testosterone in women, I think that they are able to participate in the women's sports. However, I think that if they are just a self-proclaimed, when I say that, I don't mean to degrade anyone, but they identify as a gender, but they don't take any hormones, that they should still be a transition, or a identified female should still have to participate in male sports, if that's biologically what they are.
Great. The final question for the anti-side. This is from Mellow Yellow, or I shouldn't say final. By the way, there's going to be like a little bit of a time limit here. If you want to send in another question, please send your question in the official Q&A debate channel, and I will read your question. I'd prefer you maybe give some questions to Papa G, just because I already have a lot of questions for Vexo, so I prefer that. So this one is from Mellow Yellow for Vexo. Quick question for the anti-trans validity side. What are your opinions on co-ed or mixed gender full contact sports?
I think it really, it's the men would have a significant advantage because of the way that, or men and people with biological male traits would have a advantage over the natural females or the identified females.
Yeah.
That would be up to them, but I'm saying as of right now, our current most sports that are like that don't have them together for that exact reason.
Okay, that's awesome. I'll satisfy you, Buttface. I'll read your question, okay? So this is for the pro-trans validity side for Papa G. Papa G, this is kind of a shot back at you, Papa G, in terms of the question that was just asked of Exo.
It's not dumb, right?
No, it's not. How
Okay.
would you classify intersex people in sports under your system? This is from Buttface.
Yeah, no. So like, there wouldn't necessarily need to be a classification, just for like intersex people specifically. The desegregated system I advocate for would be for mostly controlling for the three most confounding variables, or the most three confounding like things I think will affect performance, which would be weight class, height class, and skill level. That'd basically be it. So like with regards to like, it wouldn't matter if you're intersex, a non-binary man or a woman, none of that would matter. It would just be predicated on these like three things.
Okay. This is from Leon. What about a woman? I'm guessing this is for anti.
Okay.
Question, make
Yeah.
sure. Or actually, if it's not specified, I'm just gonna leave it open. Both of you can respond to it, okay? What about a woman who was born a woman, identifies as a woman, but has more testosterone than allowed for the women's competition? Okay, this is very confusing. I guess.
All right.
Leon,
Would you like to go first?
That's more of an anti-side.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. You can go first. I don't.
Okay. So I guess if they are a natural-born women, if that is the case, that they would still participate under women's sports, because I can't show you any studies, but if I had to guess, better on average women athletes have more testosterone because of the muscle mass that they need to produce for some sports. I still think that it only applies to former males, because they would still have a significantly higher amount of testosterone than a woman would.
Okay, and then Papa G, did you want to take a response to that?
So is this under my ideal system or like not? Leanne, you're in here. You can
Well,
you can ask me.
under the system that you would advocate for.
Yeah. Once again, like we this wouldn't necessarily matter. Like with regards to like chromosomes, more less consequentially the outcomes. Yeah.
Yeah, the desegregated system. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, my apologies. I meant to clarify for anti.
Oh no, you're okay. By the way, if you guys could clarify, that'd be great. If you aren't going to clarify, that's fine. A couple of these questions are memes. And here's the thing, Buttface and Unsexually, I'll read your question. Both of your meme questions, as long as I get through all the serious questions first, okay?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if we just have a section at the end for all the meme questions?
I'll read the meme questions at the end when I can get through all the actual serious questions. Here. This is from Aggie. This is a question for the trans validity side. So Papa G.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think the construct of gender shows? I think she means gender roles. I'm not sure what she means by gender shows. Gender roles has had any kind of positive effect on society.
So, okay, so ask me if I think gender roles have been like positive for society.
Yeah, essentially. Do you think the construct of gender, is a good thing or a bad thing for society? Yeah.
No, so I'm a gender abolitionist. I always have been, always will be. Oh, well, it hasn't always been, but since my mostly my political journey has begun, I've been a gender abolitionist. So I believe that the idea of gender, in the way in which we assign it, is inherently arbitrary, and it can kind of be, and I think it's inherently like self-limiting in the sense that it tries to too closely define and cluster you in certain groups or these kind of like identities that like bear with it certain like, how do I say this? It kind of like forces you into or kind of like coerces you into certain like social behaviors, social outcomes, all these kind of things, right? And I think that's inherently self-limiting, and that's a bad thing because I don't like coercion. I think an individual should be able to self-determine how they identify and identify in like ways in which aren't necessarily like don't have to be necessarily predicated on the idea of like I exist as this gender. Rather, I don't need gender to exist, and also like I do think like eventually like society will no longer need or necessitate gender to exist because we will have developed like other ways in which we can classify ourselves that won't longer necessitate this like really self-limiting identity. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Several people typing in the Q&A official debate chat. However, I don't. Oh, there's one from Ronnie Hate account. I'll actually read it. Question for the pro-trans validity side. This is for Papa. This leans more towards the topic of gender as a social construct instead of trans validity. But do you think any and all pronouns/gender identities are valid? For example, neopronouns, microlabels. And if yes, what would you think of newer identities like 𝗱𝗶𝗀𝗀 self or BLM self plus the attack helicopter meme? If people unironically decide to identify like this, do you think it's valid?
So this goes into more like the neopronouns thing. People were talking about it before. So with regards, like I personally respect everyone's pronouns. Like if you ask me, it's like pronounce. If you want me to, I don't know, pronounce your name a certain way, or like use certain pronouns, I'll definitely like do that. Like it's not a big thing for me. With regards to validity, I think with regards to like how gender works and how it's socially constructed, things tend to work. As long as individuals that make up society or just any individuals see a need or a utility in using these pronouns to validate their identity, I think that's totally fine. Like I think that in and of itself makes it valid, and I think it's the same thing with most identities and that kind of thing. I know people like I think most people do that for a meme, but if someone were to actually like identify as that, I think that'd be fine. Like Zer and Zay, Zer and Zer. Something I haven't learned the actual pronunciation because I haven't met that kind of person yet, or somebody who uses those pronouns. But yeah, I think it's totally valid,
For sure.
and I respect them.
Could you guys pin Mellow Yellow's question?
Yeah, can you ask something like?
They asked.
Okay, we're streaming. Yeah.
Get on it, mods. JK. This is for Papa G. Wow, we're getting a lot of questions for Papa G. At this point, you could probably send some for Vexa if you wanted to. This is for Papa G.
What's up?
Oh no, I was saying there are a lot more questions for Papa G, and I was just wondering if people wanted to send some more questions for Vexa, you'd be able to. For Papa G, under your ideal system, would you enforce... Oh, by the way, this is from Trigon. They asked, under your ideal system, would you enforce a minimum amount of time a trans individual would have had to do hormone therapy before they can participate in the sports or activities designed for their desired... By sex, I think they mean gender? I'll just say
So I will answer this because my ideal system already controls for this. I kind of already explained it, but under this system, yes, I do think that would be fine. It's because of the way we have the sports segregated. I think that would kind of be necessitated. But like under my ideal system, this would all be controlled for since the only thing. Yeah, gender. Yeah, once again, gender wouldn't matter too. Either way, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, but I kind of addressed this. Yeah, what's up?
No. I'm asking, guys, why haven't you pinned Mellow Yellow's question yet? Come on.
It's because they're bad at their
They're
job.
gay and they're bad mods.
I agree. The being gay is based.
Thank you, guys.
Is it? Question mark?
Sure.
So here, let's go to. I don't think I have any. I have one more from Unsexually and then one from Mellow Yellow. This is to Papa G. As a gender abolitionist, don't you think neo-pronouns take away from the movement and they can separate us more and cause issues?
No, I actually think neo-pronouns is what can like kind of unite us with regards to like why we should abolish gender. I think they point to it being arbitrary enough to like where we can essentially. It's kind of like the reason why I think arbitrary things are like really like bad, and I think like it kind of like diverts people's focus from like trying to actually like self-determine like what they are and how they feel and how they identify. I think they kind of like muddy and construe things, and like I feel as if people like try to like with gender, people like try to like pick a gender do that perfectly, or like as much as they can aligned with like how they feel inside, and like they use it to validify their own feelings and that kind of thing, right? That's the main utility we derive from gender. But and the pronouns are an outlet to do so. But I think like these things are indicative of broader societal trends that ultimately lead to harmful things and like harmful gender roles in our behavior and in our society, and gender roles and behavior in our society. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is from Mellow Yellow for the anti-trans side. I'm not gonna say anti-trans because you're obviously not anti-trans.
Oh my
You
fucking
just-
god, these are so stupid. Sorry, go ahead.
I guess we can just go by my name, but
I will
Oh,
say
what's your
your
name?
name. I apologize for that.
That's
Vexel
alright.
307. This is from Mellow Yellow. I'll read the entire statement. I have seen studies, as well as witnessed for myself, that at least on an amateur level, sex does not have as much as an impact as people think regarding performance in sports. Skill and training seems to have more of an impact on performance in sports than sex. Taking this into account, on the amateur level, do you still believe in segregating sports by sex?
So without any actual statistics, I don't see how I can answer that question because with your personal experience, I guess I can still just go to what I originally said. With someone without hormonal or I guess physical changes, they still have physical advantages over women. Someone who, I guess the simplest way to put it is a person who's born male and then identifies as a male or a female without any hormone changes is still physically a male. Therefore, they have a advantage over female athletes most of the time. And
True.
for my statistics, I have in sources a study from Duke University.
Cool.
Nice.
That's great. This is from Latent Dictator of The Hague. This is for Vexo again. What benefits, if any, do you think the categorization of gender has in society?
Gender or sex?
It specifically says gender. So gender.
So gender, I think that I really don't think that gender matters. I think that all that truly matters is your sex.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Shut the fuck up, my face. Shut the
It
fuck
doesn't
up.
look like there seems to be any more questions coming in for people that are actually serious, so I think I'm just gonna start by reading the meme questions, if that's alright with everyone.
We'll get a couple, like 3 or 4 meme questions, okay? Then we'll call it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna pick the best ones, don't worry. This one is from
Better make 'em good.
Face for Papa.
Okay.
If all you need to be a gender is to identify as it, can I identify as fucking your mom?
You're unfunny.
Sure.
That's
Okay.
about it. Yeah, that's about it.
Um,
Unfunny.
this is from Ronnie Hate Account.
Wow, that's cringe.
Um,
Maybe this one will be funnier. Let's see.
if sex and gender are the same thing, does that mean I had gender with your mom last night? Oh my god.
Yes.
Who is this for?
Yes.
It's for you.
Just yes.
so-
No, it's fine. It's yes.
Oh, this is for me. Okay, so I think you have to really explore deeper into the meaning of both gender and sex, and once again, it all comes down to the tractors. But anyways, no, my mom is like no, she's kind of no.
My mom is genderless, and I control.
My
this
mom's
already.
a tractor.
Yeah.
Base.
This one is from Unsexually. She's been like spamming this one. I guess she didn't specify anyone, so I'm just gonna put this out there.
Sure.
Why are black peoples called monkeys/primates when it seems white people have more Neanderthal DNA, are in fact closer to apes? I'm not even gonna elicit a response from that.
This
one.
I'm not even entertaining this. This is really fucking dumb. And I hope you get canceled.
It's
I
like
genuinely do. If
anthem-
Angela Davis was alive right now, she'd be fucking spitting in your face. Alright, dude. She would not be happy with how you're presenting right now. Okay.
But like
Now please continue to cope.
tractors.
I agree with that. Alright, next, last meme.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. There was a serious question that I missed. Okay, before we get to the last one that I think is pretty cool. Actually, there's 2 that I want to read. But the one is from David. This is for Papa G. How would one describe their sexuality in relation to gender in a genderless society?
That's good.
With regards to sexual attraction, oh shit, sorry, my microphone fell. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
So with regards to sexual attraction, we wouldn't classify it in the same. It would essentially kind of be the same thing. It would no longer be like. It would kind of be no longer necessitated if once we abolish gender. If we do abolish gender, it would no longer be necessitated by our society. Essentially, it wouldn't mean like we would stop being attracted to one another. It would just mean the classification in which we use, as of right now, which are derived from gender, to describe our attraction would no longer be like. We would just be attracted to whoever we want, and we wouldn't classify it in that kind of way. I wouldn't identify as bisexual. I would just I would simply be attracted to people.
Okay, this one is from 𝗷𝚻𝗶. He typed up. This is gonna be a doozy, by the way. It's pretty funny, but it's a doozy.
Okay.
He starts off by
get
saying, "Would having sex create the same effect as frequent masturbation? I've decided that I'm going to stop masturbating with porn for a while, and I'm like 3 days in. Now, is this premise built on not having orgasms, or is it specifically orgasms from masturbating with porn? Because I have sex pretty frequently, 3 times a week. I have sex 3 or 4.
Wait, this is the PFM quote.
Like 10-ish
It's the PFM.
Yes, we know. Shut the fuck up. We know.
Right?
And obviously I
Yes.
orgasm, so I don't know if
Right,
it's
how'd it
going
go?
to create the kind
You can
of
go.
same effect
That's
as
good.
masturbating regularly.
I had like a little Valorant stream, so that was
In
fun.
other words,
Oh, that's a good job.
orgasm is an orgasm, right? So does sex count in this? That was a doozy. Okay.
So I mean,
Um,
it's not November, so like you have problems.
I think you should. I
cringe.
think you should get off of Reddit.
No,
I think you need to get off of Reddit, please. Thank you.
Oh, no.
That's
Cope. Anyways, this is the last question. Okay, this is the last question.
we know which quote it was.
Oh, 𝗷𝚻𝗶 didn't get an answer. No, it's okay. Your question was.
The answer is yes.
This is all being streamed, Ryan. Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Oh shit, I'm on stream now.
This is
Nice.
The last question for Leon. Don't worry, there's like 3 people watching. It's not that impressive.
Hell yeah.
For Leon, this is for both. If gender is different than sex, then why are the mods gay? I mean, gotta hand it to you guys.
Yeah, that's no.
Well, I mean,
Pin the messages. I'm gonna tweet it to you.
I agree that the mods are gay. Yeah, I agree.
mean-
but I think that's a. Actually, I disagree that the mods are gay because
I mean,
being gay
they're
is
just-
cool, and the mods are not cool.
True. You have changed my mind. Thank
I
you.
mean, they have nothing to do other than listen to us like talk. So I mean,
They're not. They're cringe.
So
Next
this is
question.
from David again as a follow-up
Okay.
question to the original one. My question was more relating to monosexual people. How would
what was his original question?
It was about sexual attraction.
Yeah, he was like,
Okay.
in a genderless society, how would you
Okay.
identify sexuality? So he elaborates. My question was more relating to monosexual people. How would they like communicate to each other and who they were attracted to? Would we have words for that, or would we just say their sex, etc.? It is a confusing.
I know that's fine. It's confusing. Okay, so the premise is that we could still like obviously there'd be other indicators for like people's names and like how they identify, that kind of thing, and it just wouldn't be gendered, right? There'd be ways in which you can communicate to somebody that you are attracted to them. Sexual attraction wouldn't go away. It just wouldn't be on the basis of gender. You would still feel sexual. We would still have kind of it would definitely be different than like what we have now and the ways like which we go about like professing attraction. But I think it would be there'd still be mechanisms and systems to do so. So
Great.
get out there and do it.
Can I ask Papa a question while we're on the subject on sexual attraction?
Go ahead.
Would you say that I, as a straight male, would it be transphobic for me not to be attracted to formerly males that are now identifying as females?
Okay, so here's my general argument for this, this is how I view it, right? So I think that generally speaking, no. However, with the exception that if they're presenting as completely, I guess, female or male with regards like and you feel sexual attraction, but your only qualm with them is that they are transgender, I believe that is transphobic. If they meet all your definitions for what you find sexually attractive, but the only problem you have with them is the fact that they are transgender, I think that is inherently transphobic.
So would you say that is that with the inclusion of everything
Genitalia.
is the same other than genitalia?
Oh no, you can account for genitalia too. Yeah. I like if you have genitalia preference, I think that's totally valid. I'm not like I don't think we should like disavow people like sexual
Yeah.
attraction, right?
Yeah,
One of
I'm
my-
not saying
because
that,
one of
that's
my-
a joke.
Because one of my main issues with quite a few people is that they feel that because one is not attracted to a trans person because of the way that they look, is that they're automatically transphobic or doing something wrong.
No, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think
I
like
agree with you on that.
okay, nice. Hey, I'm glad we can agree.
Okay, last question for tonight. This one is a meme. It's
Good.
if this is from Frizzle and Freddy for Council. They asked, if sexuality is real, then why am I only attracted to anime characters?
Because anime characters are base as fuck, okay? Fuck real people, fuck Panini, fuck everyone here, okay? I only attracted to Luffy from One Piece, alright? Go check out One Piece anime. It's a great anime.
He's
a
a
great
the
one.
city extends in many places, you know.
I agree.
Okay, everyone. And with that, I believe the debate has concluded. The judges in question can go back and discuss.
This debate has concluded.
I remember the debate at this point. Yeah, you can go back and discuss it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now I don't. Can I answer the last question, or am I just excluded?
Yeah, you can answer. Yeah, of course you can answer the main question. Yeah.
I didn't.
It's totally okay. I just kind of forgot the question. Okay, never mind. I got it. The thing is, they're either 4 years old or 300 years old, so it's kind of tough.
True. Yeah, man.
So I'm using this 𝗷𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗰's answer to just state that this is direct proof that 𝗷𝗶𝗀𝗀 enjoys lollies.
Okay. With that, guys.
That's
though,
okay, dude. Okay, man.
with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream tonight. And if you were in this debate lounge, I hope you enjoyed the debate. The Progressive Powerhouse, of course. We're at Progressive Powerhouse on TikTok, and obviously our YouTube channel is Progressive Powerhouse. 𝗷𝗶𝗀𝗀 is affiliated with us, obviously, so if you go to those accounts, you'll see a lot of 𝗷𝗶𝗀. He does post very often on the account.
Yes.
Go follow us. Go drop a like on some of the videos. Maybe drop a like on some of our YouTube too. If you
Check out the website I spent ages making on
Yes, we also have a website.
Powerhouse.github.io.
If you go to the description of the VOD of the stream, you'll see obviously our TikTok link and also our Discord link if you want to join that. We also have a link to TPK. So great. If that's it. Vexo307, is there anything you particularly want to shout out?
No, I'm just quiet person. I mean, I.
Sure. Not a TikTok, not a social.
No, I don't post TikToks. I mean,
Okay.
I mean,
that's fine.
Shout out your
That's-
Discord
that's-
account.
You can shout out whatever. Like if you want to. If you don't want to shout anything, that's fine. That's
You know,
cool.
if
No,
you
I'm
wanna shout out
totally-
anything, you're okay.
yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm.
Okay, with that, I'll end the stream. Thank you guys for watching, and I really